And another talent we have here as a guest today, I'm glad to give you Dmytro Shurov, musician. Hello, Dmytro.
Hello, Henry.
How are you today?
Well, I'm fine. I'm downstairs in my studio. Actually arrived a couple of hours ago from a trip to the eastern Ukraine, where we played several shows for militaries, for state service. Is the guys who come whenever a missile comes, and they do all this hardest work. And actually, so we traveled around Kharkiv region and did a couple of shows. So my voice is a little messed up, so sorry about that.
Oh, come on.
To scream
come on. Seriously. Do you think that I'm going to tell you, Dmytro, your voice is messed up, so we're going to cancel an interview? You're a musician. Thank you for the job that you're doing. Just by the way, my question is, so do you really... Is it a call of duty or more the call of inspiration? Because you're coming on the very front line, you could be killed just as well. So it takes some bravery. And why do you do this? And how do you do this?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, at the start of the war, I mean, for the full-scale war, because of course the war here is happening from 2014, and since then things already changed tremendously, and songs changed, especially for me personally. And but when things started to get so dark and tragic and cruel and unfair in the February of last year, first month, I lost the ground completely. Like all my life that was invested, you know, in this place that I love, my family,
right,
my studio where I make music, all my plans, all these songs. I had a feeling that, you know, it's all over and there's new reality. So Russia pretty much crashed everything for me. And the first month I was thinking I'll never do music again. So I was driving my tour bus around the country, taking some goods to places where people needed them. I took all kinds of medical things and some military things. Like really, it was the solution for me over the first couple of weeks. But then one friend of mine who is director here said, well, do you want to go play for militaries? We now start doing these charity trips for our own money. There was no support. We just do this, get in the car and go, because they need support, they need communication, they need to know that civilians are with them. And I said, no, how can I go? I cannot, you know, pick myself from the ground. How can I help anybody? But then in about 2 weeks, we did the first gig, which was for the defenders of the airport. I will not say which one, because until this day, they don't let me even to show the videos because the place is so vulnerable. And I cried through the whole gig. I couldn't sing. To finish up to finish up at least on some kind of high note, I did spontaneously "We Are the Champions" by Queen in the end. We sang it together, and then I realized that this the way I can get myself out, you know, out of the depression as well. So we started doing it. We've done over 150 trips to this day, and this happens every week almost. Actually, I was the first musician in deoccupied Kherson. We just came and played in the middle of the square where people were standing for food, and we were like, I don't know, like a UFO landed. It was,
I'm with you.
People who lived under these, under the occupation, immediately all these stories, and I asked them, what do you need? What do you want? They said, we need the soul food. We need the psychologists. We need to talk. We need to hug. We need to get out of this mentally.
So we just created a couple.
Yeah, so all these things, all these stories. I mean, when you take a trip along the Eastern Front, like we start in the lower part near Vuhledar, and then, for example, we go all the way to Kharkiv. You see people from all around Ukraine. You see all these guys. You meet the guys who got back and deoccupied, like Balaklia, Izum. You meet them personally. And I don't know, when I breathe the same dust as they do, when we walk the same, the same places, it's hard to compare to anything. I mean, militaries and musicians, they work so well together. And I think by no means we can win this only with our army. We have to support them in all the way we can. So it's only recently I've started to play like typical piano boy shows like we did through all my career. We only had like 5 concerts recently just for civilians. The rest were pretty much for militaries. I guess this is my place in this war, and I guess this is where I feel most useful at the moment.
Thank you very much, Dmytro, for your answer. Can I have the answer on the second question of mine, which is quite personal? The war is a drama, and you as an artist, do you ever thought that you can find that passion and compassion during the times of war? Because you just told me that the military and the musicians are working so well together because they are on the edges of creation and on the edges of the life and death. And you're like closing that circle. Where else you can find such level of high emotions? In a peaceful life? Have you ever met that level of emotions in peace, or rather a war?
Well, for sure, we've had that before war. It just was so much different. You know, before war, because I've been doing music all my life. This is the most important thing to me, of course, with my family. But this is the way I communicate with the world. And I've always had the approach to my concerts is I've always wanted for people to come out of the show at least imagining they will never die, that there's something, you know, eternal, something they can relate to, resonate, a good place that they can come back when they feel bad. So when the war started, this has changed in a way that now every concert can be the last one, and I realize that. I mean, sometimes we sleep in the middle of Kramatorsk, for example, in an absolutely typical building, and next day something, you know, flies to it, and it's dramatic, pretty dramatic kind of touring. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's always. Our angels, thank you very much, are not sleeping, and we're trying to be careful for the soldiers as well, because this is really important for nobody to get hurt because of these shows. But of course, it's not the price. How do you say it? Ценность.
The value.
Yeah, the value of things have, of course, increased tremendously, because you meet these people, you hug with them. Next time you come to the same place and you learn that this guy has tragically died, and this guy is now in a hospital. You go visit him to the hospital, and or sometimes you come a year later. I have already come to several places which are the same, and I meet the same people from last year, and we hug. And we share a tear, and we feel that we're still there, we're alive, and music is part of it. So music now is a place we can go when things are so bad, and of course, it's really a lot of touching things happen because of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is if I would, everyone have to choose an addiction. My friend says so. The music is such an addiction. Then a lot of people choose, and you as a professional, as a renowned master of music in Ukraine, should know a lot about that, because when I'm talking to you, I feel the passion and compassion. I feel the whole picture of it. I'm feeling now, as I've been there on the very front line doing music. I mean, you also are taking a risk, which is my third question actually. Are you afraid that you are going, maybe you can be hurt or you can die? What will happen to your family? But you still, this is the call of what? Of muse, of duty, because you are Ukrainian? What is it? Or maybe this is the good addiction altogether. What is that? That makes you go to the front line and give a gig there. Well, you can go to Kiev, for example. I would think they would gladly accept you.
Well, first of all, you can die in a minute and anywhere. I mean, you never know when this thing is going
That's
to
a
happen.
good point. That's a good
I mean,
point.
why David Bowie died? Why did he leave us so early? Was he,
Yes,
you
true.
know, was
True.
he an alien? Maybe we don't know. We don't know why these things happen, and it's also very sad. The second thing is these guys in the front. They are the ones who are taking the real risks, because not every one of them is a Terminator or Robocop. They're just regular people made of blood and flesh. And I've met piano tuners who are now defending the country in a uniform. I've met teachers and Olympic trainers, for example, and all
Really?
kinds of people who went there in the first months. And I have to say, I don't really like I don't like when what we're doing is called cultural front, because the front is where people risk and die, and from where they sometimes come back never the same again.
Absolutely.
And I would prefer to call it the cultural, support, or the cultural home front or rear, if you'd like. I don't know the right term in English, but I don't like the word front, because I've been close to front. It's a very, very different place. So I guess I believe in my angels, and my wife is a witch, as everybody knows in this country. So if something happens to me, she'll do something about it.
If I consider myself as a musician, all right, I'm not, but at the moment, I get to live in Russia, and I speak Russian language, and I see what is going on in Ukraine, and I choose the side of the Kremlin. Is that the moment when I stop being a musician?
Yes, you become the partner of rapers, killers, robbers. I think this whole war is not. Of course, it's not just a war of tanks and bullets. This is the war of principles of living on this planet. This is sheer aggression. This is like, I mean, of course, this didn't happen out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
And we all have seen this man preparing it for tens, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And I guess people, including myself, should have been more clever. And it's when you play with a little kid who is a psycho, and he takes one toy from you, and you let him have it, and then he takes the second one. Then he starts living with you, and then he steals your stuff. Then he kills your mother. I don't know. So this is what happened. So in my opinion, I don't know who doesn't see it. I mean, the people who take this side are obviously part of it.
Well,
How else can it?
there are a lot of people who don't see it because they just don't want to see it. I believe there is a big gap, and there is a big difference between population and nation. And I believe that the nation is a Ukrainian nation, and you make a perfect example of that nation. You are brave, you're resilient, you're talented, and you have your position, and you think that your position is actually you, and you are not ready for any kinds of trade. So thank you very much for your talent and expertise, and for your time with us with Talk for More. I hope to have you more with us soon, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you very much for having me. And I'm actually sitting in front of my piano. So next time,
play us a short thing. Come on, play us a short thing. Play us a hymn of Talk for More. Where the melody comes out of your mind. Go ahead, do it.
Hymn of Talk for More?
Yeah, Talk for More. Our show is called Talk for More, and I am the star of the show. So look it at me right now. Play me a melody. Give me a harmony. Come on.
Talk for More. Talk for More. Say hello to Henry. And
All right.
You can talk about everything. You can talk about the win of Ukraine. Just talk, never get silent. Talk. Come on, talk for more. And now here's the melody for you. This is a little like Hey Jude in the end, so sorry about that.
Yeah. So, but all I heard was kind of a pentatonic. But Hey Jude, we'll be all right.
Yeah,
Come on, don't do Beatles. Thank you very much, Dmytro, for your time. Thank you.
Yeah,